We've just had the full spoilers for chapter 1154 of One Piece, and it's absolutely insane. In this chapter, we finally get the face reveal of Rocksteady Xebec, and it confirms what many of us have been theorizing for ages, as this legendary pirate is linked to a major character. There's a ton of reveals within this chapter. We're talking about Rocks killing a Marine Admiral, as we get even more tragic details of Loki's backstory. And we even learn details about the Frozen Giants from way back in Punk Hazard and how they are connected to an ancient group of giant shipbuilders. So after the Big Mom incident, Elbaf was hit by disasters like fires and storms of famine. So apparently some of the desperate giants were about to attack Ida and Hadruddin, but King Harold had returned just in time to protect them, and he had brought foreign aid with him. Unfortunately, Estrida died from her illness before Harold's return, and on the other hand, Ida opened a bar in the underworld. 56 years ago, King Harold went to the Reverie, but the government ignored him, and back in Elbaf, Jarl talked to Harold about the Galila. So this is a group of ancient giants and non-ancient giant shipbuilders. Apparently we learned that this group was captured, possibly by the world government. Estrida's sister reared Loki and abused him, while Harold was focused on rebuilding Elbaf. 48 years ago, Loki unleashed some giant beasts on the villages, but when he saw how other children helped Hadruddin, he realized how alone he was. Suddenly, the Rocks pirates then appear in the underworld and they ask Loki if they were in Elbaf, so we learn that the Rocks pirates met with King Harold at the Reverie 8 years ago. This is 56 years from the current timeline. But after Rocksteady Xebec had killed a Marine Admiral, he ended up becoming a wanted man. We then see the full face of Rocksteady Xebec. He has two-tone hair and he looks strikingly similar to Blackbeard, and this is because Rocks is in fact Blackbeard's father. So we now have the full spoilers for the chapter. So apparently this giant shipbuilding guild is called the Great Hammer Warband. It's pronounced as Karela, almost the same as the Water Seven's Galila. They reportedly left a letter in Elbaf saying that the whole guild had been captured. Jarl can't believe anyone could seize 100 giants, including ancient giants. There was one rumor that claims that the entire warband was literally frozen in ice. I mean, this is strikingly similar to the frozen giants that we had seen back on Punk Hazard, as you can see on this image. So this chapter has a total of 17 pages. So the chapter actually begins with a small summary of the Big Mom incident when she was a child. Then we see that many disasters had occurred on Elbaf. There was a massive snowstorm which prevented crops from being harvested, and giants were also unable to fish or hunt, which brought famine to Elbaf. Baby Loki had managed to return to the castle, but Queen Estrid didn't want to see him. Baby Loki tried to hug his mother as he broke the door to enter in her room, but Estrid, full of hatred, rejected him. Baby Loki is seen to be crying desperately as the soldiers take him out of the room. We have some dialogue from Estrid as she says it was all his fault. It's because we didn't kill him immediately that this nation is now cursed. Get him out. She continues to say never let that monster near me again and destroy his eyes, or else everything will be cursed as the end of this nation is closing on us. The giant soldiers say, Prince Loki, you mustn't go near your mother's room. So apparently due to disasters, Elbaf was on a brink of destruction. Giants tried to attack Hadruddin because he was related to the cursed Prince Loki, but Harold returned to Elbaf just in time to help Hadruddin and Ida. King Harold then delivers a speech stating, my brothers do not hurt each other. The same time I received news that Loki is born, I also heard of the famine that is raging through this nation. I immediately discussed the issue with countries whom we have a diplomatic relationship with, and with just that, they fill their ships with food. No questions asked, as the humans are all so small compared to us, but several countries work together and they are delivering food to Elbaf, which is enough to fill even the belly of us giants. King Harold urges his nation to accept their help and to eat the food with gratitude, and one day when they need our help, let's give it to them all, because after all it is a small world that we all share. Then we have this amazing double page we see with tons of human ships arriving to Elbaf, all of them transporting massive bags full of food to help out the giants. So Loki's mother Estrid died right before Harold had come back to Elbaf, as we see Harold crying at the funeral. Ida decided to move to the underworld and she built a bar And this is where we had seen Colin and Shanks not too long ago. Now King Harold was busy with developing roads to connect Elbaf villages and to end all fighting within his country. Loki ended up growing up with Estrid's younger brother. No name is given to him as of yet, but we do learn that this man had abused him. Sometime later, it seems that this man was killed by creatures from the underworld. In order to prevent more problems, giant soldiers covered Loki's eyes, claiming that he had an eye disease. We then cut to 56 years ago at Jarl's house, as Harold and Jarl were talking about conflicts between the giants and the world government. Jarl says, "Harold, you were at the reverie where that incident had occurred." Harold says, "Yeah, I asked a king who's my friend to help me sneak in as a soldier." He continues saying that in the end, his request fell on deaf ears, and if that murder didn't occur, I may have been arrested. He then asks King Harold, "Have you heard of the story of the Galela?" This is in reference to the Great Hammer Warriors. Harold says that he thinks that it was some group of tough giant shipwrights, some warriors with hammers or some myth, right? Jarl explains no, they were actually real. They sailed far beyond Elbaf and they sent home a letter from where they went. The content of the letter was also along the lines of, "We have all been captured." He says, can you believe it? Over 100 giant warriors, and even ancient giants included, were all captured by someone. Harold wondered if they were captured by the world government, as Jarl replied that all they can say for sure is that a great enemy had existed in the past, but apparently that part of their history was sunk deep into the ocean on a fateful day. Jarl finishes by saying that he heard a rumor that Galela members are frozen somewhere. Now when Jarl talks about Galela, we can see in the background some of their silhouettes, and at least two of them are two of the frozen giants that Nami and Chopper had seen in Punk Hazard, as you can see on this image here. We then cut to 48 years ago after the Beasts incident on the villages, as Kid Loki jumps from the Sun World to the Underworld by himself. Loki crashes heavily to the ground as he takes off his blindfold and he cries out alone, saying he cannot even die. Suddenly, a mountain is then cut in half in the distance and someone is seen to be talking. A mysterious man says, "What on earth is the deal with this island? Where is the entrance?" A group of people then approach Loki, and it's Shiki, Edward Newgate, Buckingham Stussy, and a mysterious man. The mysterious man says, "Ah, there we go, a giant brat. I told you that we're in Elbaf." Shiki laughs, saying that this kid has the face of a devil. Whitebeard says, "Isn't he huge even for a giant?" And he is crying right now. And then we get this incredible double page of the chapter as we discover that the mysterious man who was speaking was actually Rock's Xebec. Now Rock's face was very similar to Teacher's face, same eyes, nose and mouth, but Xebec still has all of his teeth intact. He appears to have had spiky hair with black and white locks, and he wore earrings and also had a scar or a tattoo, it's uncertain. And this marking is on the left side of his face. He was also a big guy like Teach, but he is also thinner. So the chapter ends with the official introduction of Xebec with his face reveal in the story. So the narrator says that Harold encountered Xebec at the Reverie 8 years ago, during which this man escaped after killing an admiral of the Marines, and he is currently hunted by the world government, who has placed a high bounty on his head. So Rox is speaking to Loki as he says, "Alright, say yes to both my questions, kid, because that is the answer I am seeking right now. First, is this place that nation of giants called Elbaf? And second, it's better that Harold be here." So Rox had later become the captain of the Rox Pirates, father of Blackbeard, and one of the Yonko. The editor's notes for the chapter state the legend appears. Next issue of One Piece will be getting the jump cover as well as a full color spread. So there's no break next week as we continue on from this incredible cliffhanger. After waiting for so many chapters, we finally have confirmation that Rox is in fact Blackbeard's father, and I'm still getting goosebumps at the thought of seeing Rox's face reveal during this chapter. Oda is a master at the long game as he establishes plot points hundreds of chapters in the past, as he then reveals them in the present day with flawlessness. I love how everything connects, even with Blackbeard's ship being named after his father, it seems, and it makes sense how Rox and Roger were rivals and why Blackbeard had fought against the son of Roger Ace and had handed him over to the Marines. Blackbeard is literally following in his father's footsteps, especially following the events of the God Valley incident. What do you think about the spoilers for chapter 1154 of One Piece, and what are your thoughts about this incredible reveal? Be sure to subscribe to the channel for even more One Piece content and for the latest spoilers for the upcoming chapters. Thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.